Something absolutely unbelievable is happening. Something that deserves everybody's constant attention. Okay. And that is I'm running another marathon. It does deserves everybody's constant attention, and that's why I'm here to talk about it today. Oh no, we're talking about Leverkusen, but seriously, I tried to run the New York Marathon last year. I did finish it, but I got massive double barrel thigh cramps around mile 10 and basically peg legged my way to the finish in 5 hours and 29 minutes, and it was the hardest thing I've ever done. So what we're trying to do this time is run it, on under like 4:30, have an actually good time and run the entire thing without needing to house 4 different packets of mustard. And that deserves that, but it's also in November, right? That's a long way away. What is happening right now that you need to pay attention to is Bayer Leverkusen. Okay, because Bayer Leverkusen continues to defy what everybody expects. And this is about to end. There's only 4 more Bundesliga matches left, the DFB Pokal final, a couple of semifinals and a final in the Europa League. This team, as it stands with Xabi Alonso and Granit Xhaka, Jeremy Frimpong, right, in this group, they've less than 10 matches left in this season. If they play every match left available to them, they have 8 matches left in their entire season. And you and me and everybody else, we should be watching all 8 as long as they are keeping this unbelievable run going. Because we're just not going to see something like this again. There has never been an unbeaten champion of the top German league before, ever. Bayern never did it, right? I do find it rather hilarious that the closest Bayern got was in 2013 when they lost 1 game. That loss to Bayer Leverkusen, by the way, who were setting up, obviously, their incredible plot twist of them being the team that could actually go unbeaten. And not only is it an unbeaten championship, they're in the final of the German Cup against a second division team. And they are in the semifinal of the Europa League, a Europa League that Liverpool has already been knocked out of, which makes Bayer Leverkusen, in my estimation, the favorite, right? Leverkusen has to be the favorite in that competition. So there's 3 trophies. I realize it's not the Champions League, but it's the next best thing. And also an unbeaten German title to go with a German Cup, right? For a club that's never won the top German league before, right? That's the other part of this that is completely insane. And all of those various facts make this unbelievable and something you should be watching and something you should be paying attention to and setting your alarm for to watch this team play. All of that before you understand how they've freaking done it. Like the marathon, that was all, 6 months of training and then pure will. I'd never run more than a 5K. For Bayer Leverkusen, for them, it's after the 90th minute. This is a cardiac team. They're wheeling out. I don't know if he's just on the bench wearing disguises, but I feel like they're wheeling out Ole Gunnar Solskjaer every single match. Just this week, they scored 2 incredibly late goals to keep their unbeaten streak going. We'll start with West Ham in the Europa League, right? Because they were beating West Ham 2-0 on aggregate, but you still can't go, even if they go to London and lose, right? They could lose by a goal and still advance on aggregate, but that would ruin their unbeaten season. So you've got to get a draw. And in that match, they go down early. West Ham's pushing for an equalizer, and Bayer Leverkusen scores in the 89th minute. Massive deflection of a goal for Jeremy Frimpong to keep the unbeaten streak going, right? That was this week. That was on Thursday. Bayer Leverkusen got down to the 89th minute, and their unbeaten streak was about to get ended. Earlier in the Europa League against Karabakh in the previous round, they were losing in stoppage time and scored 2 goals in stoppage time thanks to Patrick Schick at the end of it to turn a loss into a win. And that has been a trend because even though this Jeremy Frimpong goal against West Ham doesn't count, according to this Yahoo Sports article, Leverkusen has 14 goals after the 90th minute this season. Now, obviously not all of those are to save their unbeaten season, right? But that is a lot of goals after the 90th minute. You think about how many matches Leverkusen has gone unbeaten this season. They've played 30 matches in the league. They've played 6 matches in the Europa League group stage. They've played 4 more matches in the Europa League. So that's 40 matches. And then Pokal, it's about 45 matches. 14 of them, they have scored past the 90th minute. I mean, we're looking at 33% of the matches they play, they score after the 90th minute. That's insane if they're scoring one. Obviously, the Karabakh match, they scored two. So there's a lot of, I hate math. I'm doing my absolute best here, but I hate math. That brings us to this weekend, this Sunday, when Bayer Leverkusen was playing at Borussia Dortmund, a match that I had circled on my calendar, right? When you look at their schedule, 5 matches left in the league. They've already clinched the league title. All they're playing for is that unbeaten season. At Borussia Dortmund is a very difficult match for any team in the world. The first match was, the first half was very tired. Not many guys running around. Both teams had midweek matches. Borussia Dortmund was obviously playing a very important tie in the Champions League. So both of these teams were coming in a little haggard. You could kind of tell that in the first half. But get to the 81st minute, and who pops up but Niklas Füllkrug, the forward for Dortmund, who volleys one in at the back post and puts Dortmund up. And then 5 minutes later, there's a giant brouhaha. I just love the word brouhaha. This is a picture from it. Obviously, can't show you the actual video, but there was some pushing, some shoving. A few guys ended up on the ground. 2 yellow cards were handed out, including one to Jeremy Frimpong. But the referee, I think, wisely decided to not issue any red cards in that moment. Tempers were clearly flaring, and these two teams were not having a good time playing against each other. And that brought us to the 98th minute, right? Bayer Leverkusen in the 96th minute takes a free kick. Alex Grimaldo, it is wonderfully tipped around the post, and that produces a corner for Bayer Leverkusen. 98th minute, 8 minutes of stoppage time. 1-0 Borussia Dortmund. Bayer Leverkusen's unbeaten season hanging in the balance. Florian Wirtz delivers the corner, and it is an absolute sparkler. Florian Wirtz, in-swinger. Anybody can get a touch on that. Stanisic does get a touch on it, and it ends up at the back of the net. It is a beautiful goal. Florian Wirtz with an excellent delivery. Bayer Leverkusen had 4 different guys in the area that could have gotten on the end of that and glanced it in. Stanisic is the guy that ends up doing it. But in the 98th minute, I promise you, there's that line that the announcer uses right in the Manchester City last-second goal with Aguero, where I swear you will never see anything like this again, so watch it, drink it in. You're never going to see another team like this, a team that's never won the league, a team that has come out of basically nowhere to try and do something that literally no other team from their country has ever done. And the way they are doing it is just stealing draws and wins in stoppage time. I mean, the plot armor. I've tweeted about this multiple times, but the plot armor of Bayer Leverkusen's better than a Disney princess. This is better than Jon Snow coming back to life in Game of Thrones, right? Like the plot armor of Bayer Leverkusen, they are unkillable. The belief in this team, right? And they play really well too. I'm not saying that they're lucky. They play incredibly well. But if you're going to have an unbeaten treble, you also need to be lucky. And they just are particularly lucky, as well as definitely deserving to have won the league. They deserve all the things that are coming to them. But the luck to be able to preserve the unbeaten season, the luck and the skill, and the determination and the mindset and the belief. It's it is unbelievable, the belief this team has that they can always pull it back. They always show up and they always pull it back, and they're unbeaten, right? 4 league matches left. That's it, right? 3 in the Europa League if they get out of the semifinal and in the German Cup final. I didn't want to do the math earlier. It's 8 matches left. If they win those 8 matches, hell, if they draw the 4 league matches, and they win 2 of the 3 Europa League matches, as long as the finals included that, and win the cup final, they're one of the best teams of all time. And that's uncomfortable because it's Bayer Leverkusen, but nobody touched them, right? And Liverpool is racing for the Premier League title, right? They are right there for the Premier League title, and they're already out of the European competition that Bayer Leverkusen is in. Obviously, they laid an egg against Atalanta at home, but trying to discount the fact that an unbeaten treble doesn't matter because it's the Europa League just feels really stupid to me, because a lot of teams would absolutely love to be in the semifinal of the Europa League, and you know what? They couldn't do it. They lost, and they're not there. And they also have lost games this season. There's only one team that hasn't. It's this one. Okay, and they are doing something that is not getting enough credit. And I have definitely been accused of glazing Xabi Alonso. But you know what? Why shouldn't I? Right? I'm doing 360s. Okay, because have you seen what this team is doing and then how they're doing it? This is a one-of-one season. If you simulated this season over 100 times, it would not have come back with this result another time, right? Particularly the way they are doing it at the ends of these matches. It's unbelievable. I've had the pleasure of I watched the Karabag match, right? I watched this one. It is amazing to see the energy and the aggression. They do not give up. They do not give in, and they are reaping the rewards of that. And I mean that. If they complete this, we're talking about one of the best teams in European history. There are better ones, right? Obviously, going invincible in the Premier League, probably a little bit harder. 4 more matches, right? I'm looking at you, Arsenal, the Manchester United treble, the Manchester City treble, Pep's Barcelona, right? The Real Madrid that won 3 straight Champions Leagues. There are a lot of great teams just in the last 20 years that have existed. But Bayer Leverkusen, you cannot avoid putting them in that in that group, in that tier. We're talking about an unbeaten treble. Excuse me, but Arsenal didn't even do that. You know what I'm saying? And the first one in German history, even though Bayern Munich was riding this league like a horse for 11 years. Yeah, all right. I'm taking this seriously. It's freaking crazy. 14 goals after 90 minutes, and the one against West Ham to save their unbeaten season in the 89th doesn't even count for that. Freaking ridiculous. Congratulations to them for scoring this late equalizer. Also, Florian Wirtz, FM Wonder Kid, he has emerged. He had a hat trick in the league clinching win, by the way. That dude's going to go to Manchester United for $175 million in a couple of days.